Modern Day once again topping MaxPreps Power 25. The big news this week for that program came off the field as their quarterback flipped from USC to Alabama. Bryce Young had committed to the Trojans more than a year ago, but flipped after a visit to Tuscaloosa last weekend. They were idle last week. That's why he was able to make that trip. They're at St. John's of Washington, D.C. tomorrow. California with the top two teams in the country. Let's bring in Zack, Mr. Everything from MaxPreps. And a lot of people are talking about this in the world of college football as it pertains to Alabama and what that's going to mean for Tua Tagovailoa's younger brother who is at Alabama. What does this Bryce Young flip really mean?
Listen, man, this kid is one of the most special high school quarterbacks I've ever seen. And I don't think it's going to be good for Tua Tagovailoa just because I strongly believe when Tua puts his name in the NFL draft for 2020, I'd be shocked if Bryce Young wasn't the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide as a true freshman. He's got Kyler Murray's special type of talent, and Kyler Murray is the best high school quarterback I've seen since working at MaxPreps. And Bryce Young is right there, and we've seen it this year. They've had one of the toughest schedules, and they've won every game by double digits in dominant fashion. He played against St. Francis Academy, who was the number 2 team a couple of weeks ago. He rushed for 4 touchdowns, threw for over 200 yards. And that was a defense that is just a bunch of SEC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 defensive guys. So he's going to be the starting quarterback next year if Tua goes pro, for sure.
Wow. Dual threat quarterback. We saw a lot of running from him. What more can you tell us about why he made the decision to go to Alabama instead of USC?
I look at it this way. You look at the two programs. USC, Lynn Swann is gone now as the AD. Who knows what's going to happen with Clay Helton after this year. You look at Alabama, you got Nick Saban, a very stable program. Them and Clemson are the two most stable programs in college football. If I'm a player in high school who's being recruited by Alabama and USC, I'm going to go to Alabama because that is a top-level program. Listen, no disrespect to USC. They're a big-time program on the West Coast. But when you're talking about Alabama, everybody knows how much of a big-time program that is. They're in the college football playoff every single season. It gives Bryce Young a better chance to make it to the next level and to put up big-time numbers in college. And also, too, he talked about the strength and conditioning program that they have at Alabama. It's one of the best in college football. So that's going to help him get bigger, stronger, faster, and better, which is crazy to think because he's one of the most special high school football quarterbacks I've ever seen.
His number 1 team, Modern Day, is at St. John's of Washington, D.C. tomorrow. Is that going to be much of a challenge for the top team in the nation?
Listen, man, St. John's is 2-3, but those 3 losses have come against top 25 teams. 2 of those 3 are in the top 5, and one of those games was a 4-point loss to a very talented St. Joseph's Prep team. Last week they were actually leading a very talented IMG team who is number 3 in the top 25. So they can compete. I don't think they're gonna beat Modern Day. I look at Modern Day as being the best, most well-rounded team in high school football. They've been number 1 since the start of the year, and I think their biggest test will come on October 25th when they play DJ Uiagalelei in St. John Bosco. But St. John's is talented, man. They're loaded with future Power 5 guys. You got Sol Jayamaev at quarterback, but their big guns are Rakim Jarrett at wide receiver, LSU commit. And then on defense, you got MJ Sherman, middle linebacker. He's a Georgia commit. And then you got Trey Williams, a Clemson commit on the D-line. So they got the talent. I think this game's going to be close, but I expect Bryce Young to make enough plays to lead Modern Day to maybe a 2-touchdown win on the road in D.C.
And that would get him to 5-0 on the season coming off the bye week. Let's move to another game. Tell us about the big inner-city game you have in Valdosta, Georgia.
Yeah, this is a fun one, man. This is 2 big-time programs in Georgia. No high school football team has won more games than Valdosta High School. They're 5-0 this year, and they're playing Lowndes, who's also 5-0. They jumped into the Power 25 rankings last week with a big-time win against Miami Northwestern. This was one of the most impressive wins of the season. Miami Northwestern has one of the best defenses in the country, and all Lowndes did was score on their first 7 possessions. It was a rout. They won big time. This is going to be a big game. If I had to pick somebody in this one, I'm going to go with Lowndes, so that probably means that Valdosta is going to find a way to win. This is a huge game, not just in Georgia, but in high school football. This is going to be a fun one for sure. Get your popcorn ready for this one.
Get your popcorn ready with Zack Poff here on CBS Sports HQ. Let's look at a 5-12 game. It's like the NCAA basketball tournament. Number 5 St. Francis Academy against 12th ranked St. Joseph Regional.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, 12's usually the money pick when you do the brackets in March, but I'm going to roll with the 5 seed here. I think you look at St. Francis Academy. This is a team that's won 27 of its last 28 games, with that lone loss coming on the road in Southern California to the number 1 team in high school football, Mater Dei, and that was a couple of weeks ago. They were angry last week after that loss, and they shut out Miami Norland 49-0. And this year, in their 4 wins, they've outscored the opposition 217-13. So they've been dominating, folks. They get their second biggest test of the year, and this one's on the road again against St. Joseph Regional. St. Joseph Regional has won 9 games in a row. They're 3-0 this year, and they're winning by nearly 30 points per game. So this is going to be a fun one. It's filled with D1 players. You look at St. Francis Academy right there. You got Chris Braswell, Alabama commit, Blake Corum, a Michigan commit at running back, Damon Clowney, the nephew of Jadavion, or actually the cousin of Jadavion Clowney. He's an LSU guy. Then Jordan Toll's LSU also, and Luke Hill, an Oregon guy. St. Joseph Regional is loaded too. Their offensive line, one of the best in the country. Luke Weipler, an Ohio State commit. He's the number 1 rated player in the state of New Jersey overall for the class of 2020. You got Michael Alamo at quarterback, a Purdue commit. And, the talent just goes on and on for St. Joseph Regional. But I like St. Francis Academy in this one. I don't see them losing again this year. I think their only L is going to be to the number 1 team in the country.
MaxPreps had to be consumed with that big story of the week with Bryce Young flipping from USC to Alabama. What's some other big things that you're zeroed in on right now, right in the heart of the high school football season?
I'm looking at it now, man. It's the league play is getting cracking. This is going to be the last non-conference, non-league game for Mater Dei, who plays in the Trinity League as the number 1 league in the country. So I'm zoning in on that. It's going to be fun because Trinity League means one thing: number 1 versus number 2 again on October 25th. If both these teams are still undefeated, that would be St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. And what's even better now with Bryce Young flipping to Alabama, what that means is DJ Uiagalelei and Bryce Young are going to have not just a high school rivalry, but they're going to have that rivalry going on in college now, because Clemson and Alabama, they pretty much play in the national championship game every single season. So the DJ and Bryce drama is going to continue. And also, too, the WCAC, which is the number 2 toughest league in America, they're going to actually begin play next week with the Trinity League, too. So it's going to be fun, man. We're going to get these league games, rivalry games going. So, non-league games have been a lot of fun, but league play is where the money's made.
That's why we call him Mr. Everything. Zack Poff all over the place for us from MaxPreps, getting us ready for another busy weekend in high school football. Taking a look at some other games on Friday night around the nation. St. Thomas Aquinas against Carroll City in an all-Florida matchup. A couple of Charlotte teams going head-to-head at 7 Eastern. Grayson is in-state on the road against Colquitt County as well.